Greetings everyone, I'm Dave Irwin from One Hit Pixel, and today we'll be having a brief encounter with Omerta, City of Gangsters, developed by Hymermont Games. Apologies if I've butchered your company name there, I don't know how to pronounce it, and published by Calypso Media for both PC and Xbox 360. Now, both of these companies were responsible for the reasonably successful Dictator simulations Tropico 3 and Tropico 4. They also developed and published Grand Ages Rome and the First Templar. Not exactly a stellar CV, but we'll soldier on. So, the name Omerta, or it comes from the term Omertia. I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know Italian all that well. Essentially what it is a code of silence amongst the mafia types in the Roaring Twenties. So, as you can probably tell from the title and everything, this is actually set in the 1920s, during America's Prohibition years, which is... well, it's not a unique setting, but it's a wonderful setting. I mean, I'd love to see more games go into this era. I mean, it's almost 100 years ago since the start of the 20s, so we need stuff like this coming out in terms of gaming for historical context. So what have we got here? We've got these in relation to the campaign mode. You've also got a multiplayer mode, which apparently is just both cooperative and competitive, which is quite a nice little idea. You've also got a sandbox mode, which gives you everything from the get-go. You don't have to play through multiple missions in order to get everything you need in order to start the game properly, which is a fantastic little option. It makes it so that if you just want to get into a game, a bit like Civilization almost, where you can either go through campaigns or you can go, right, I just want to play a game. I don't want any background, I just want to get into it. So if you start the game in either sandbox or you start it in the campaign, you don't get this mission thing. This is exclusive to the sandbox mode, which essentially is, here are the 4 maps that we have in the game. Then you get to name your own character. So you got, for example, the default name is the boss. You get choose his portrait. I swear these portraits are actually based off actors in the 1920s. So that's quite cool. You've also got this, which from the looks of it, it reminds me of Morrowind. When you go into the shack after you get off the boat and you agree to buy this old guy, you get the option to answer some questions in order to give your character the genetic makeup that they have, which determines their stats. And this is kind of in the same kind of, well, the same kind of mechanic, and I think it's a really nice way to start a game. It gives your character background. It gives them. I mean, the rest of the game, the characters are pretty two-dimensional. They all go through the same thing. All this does is it determines your stats, but having that little bit of background gives characters in other games a bit more of a unique trend that you've chosen for your character. You get to play out your own fantasy of what you expect that character to be, and that's something I really appreciate in games. So what we're going to do for the purposes of this gameplay is we're not actually going to start a new sandbox mode, because otherwise we'll never get to everything. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to load this save here, which is in the campaign. It's the second mission, so you still get to see the same map that I was about to do, but you're not going to get every single aspect of the tutorial in here. You're only going to get a little bit. It's introduced to you iteratively, which I think is a fantastic way to do games like this. Teach games like this to new players, because otherwise you're just going to get overwhelmed with information. So let's crack into it, shall we?
Anyone tries to get their dirty hands on it, well, the bad news is that a little scuffle scared out some customers. No one wants to do business with us. But we'll set up our own alcohol supply and distribution network. Brewery here, a speakeasy there. We'll be up and running again in no time.
So that's quite cool in that you get a little bit of background into each of the missions when you go into the campaign, but really this is all you get in terms of the presentation for like cutscenes and stuff. Yeah, you get images, sort of like comic book style images as well as that, but they're usually static. You don't really get much out of them. So that's a bit disappointing, but it's not the end of the world. You get like little rewards for your gang. So you get 2 new team members potentially in this one, and you also get an increase to your the amount of people you can actually put into your gang, which is quite a nice little mechanic. So with that in mind, let's begin, shall we? When I first started this looking at this game, I was a bit perturbed by the sound direction at first, because it started to loop quite badly. It rewound itself by about a second and then played what it had already done.
The name is Emmett, but everyone calls me Doc. I heard you're looking to get into the booze business.
As I was saying before I was interrupted, so the sound kept on rewinding, which was a bit unfortunate because it kind of made the sound direction sound a bit shoddy. And this was also happening for the sound. Turns out that's a bug more than anything else. It's not a design feature, so pretty thankful that that's not the case. But anyway, I digress. We've got this new guy called Doc. He will essentially say, "Yes, I'm your man. I don't work for free, but I'm going to help you get started." So that's quite cool. He's Irish. So not everyone in this game is an Italian mobster, which is also quite cool. So this is your overworld, as it were. The camera controls are functional, but it just doesn't feel right to me. And the minimap is pretty useless. I mean, you can tell where you're going, but it just feels odd. Now look at the zooming in, it just looks a bit ugly, to be honest. I mean, that car looks like it's about to break down. There was black smoke coming from its bonnet, which is a bit odd. So how do you play this game? Well, as you can see, I've got people down here. You can have a maximum of 3 in this mission, but you can have a maximum of up to 6, I believe. And you can hire people to fill out those slots. So let's do that, shall we? We've got only one guy to choose from, who's Doc. Looking in here, you've got his various different skills. So he's wielding dual revolvers, which compared to my other guys who are just have pistols, is a fantastic option, because it allows you to attack more than once per turn, potentially, which is absolutely fantastic. And it also allows you to retaliate to a single ranged attack, which is also really nice, and his talents are really cool too. Characters can also have perks, so he has increased HP as one of his perks, which is quite nice. It gives him a bit more health, so it means he'll last longer. But his stats are reasonable, though his guts is shocking. If you look at his total courage, he will run away at the first sign of danger, from the sound of things. So taking him into sort of battle situations is not ideal. So anyway, we'll carry on. Just hire him. His salary is 24. I think it's a week. Might be daily.
Now let's get a wiggle onto that brewery.
Okay, so things you can do. You can like upgrade your headquarters, which is quite a nice little touch. It allows you to decorate it how you want. It allows you to, you know, upgrade it so you can build extra buildings and have an additional capacity for storage. I know it says to do this first, but what I'm actually going to do first is I'm going to spend quite a bit of money. Oh. Controls are absolute jank. I just can't. Yeah, the controls are shoddy. I can't seem to do anything right when it comes to this. Will it allow me? Yeah, right. It was just a fail. It was a tutorial. So I'm going to send this guy, Squigs. Let's have a look at these guys. So he's okay. So whilst the whole sound thing was just a bug, moving through fences and possibly moving through cars is actually a design feature, which is ridiculous. So once people are done with their various tasks, you can go onto their portrait. So I've now got a free house or premises, and I can now establish a new brewery business, which makes me allows me to make beer. Why do you want to make beer? Well, you've got to do some trade somehow, and this is how you do it. So let's make that beer, shall we? Now, talking to informants allows you to open up new locations. Which is really nice. One of the things that I think is probably the worst aspect of this game is when the game turns into night, which it's about to right now. As you can see, it is going to get really dark. And this is a problem because the icons aren't really lit up all that well. So you're trying to highlight where the icon is, and half the time it's just going to go, nope, that's not where the hideout is. That's where it is. And that is a bit shoddy in my eyes. So let's carry on a bit. Okay, so the brewery can also be upgraded as well. So if you go down to upgrades, use some dirty money. Now there's a mechanic called dirty money, and then there's clean money. Dirty money is obtained through your illegal illegal business. So you can. This guy likes to interrupt me, and I really don't like that. Anyway, so as I was saying, crying out loud. Upgrades allow you to either increase your efficiency in this case, or give yourself a brand name, which increases how much people like you, which I think is quite a nice little touch. And all the different buildings have their own upgrades. So apparently my objective now is to rent a joint, which is different from a premises, because premises are for developing products. Joints are for selling them. So Doc's going to go into there and sort that out. One other thing you can do, you can raid other businesses for their stock. So basically stealing their stock. Or you could buy it. You could buy it if you want, and that will increase your relations with them. And in fact, that's probably what I'm going to do. Now, if you look at the top right hand corner, you've got the dirty money, which is the dollar sign, of which I've got almost 2,000 of it. To the right is clean money, which is what happens when you launder your money so that it can't be traced back to illegal practices. You've got stock levels, of which I've now got 16 out of 50. 50 is the maximum amount of items you can have. and those 16 are all in beer. You've also got liquor and firearms as part of your trade as well. Below that, you've got how much the people of the local neighbourhood like you, and to the right of that with the fist is how much they fear you. Below that is the police wanted level, so the police will actually try and investigate you if you get up to 5 stars, to which you can either... I'm sorry, that guy just walked straight through that car. That's ridiculous. I'll get to that in a minute. As I was saying, police will investigate you, and you can either bribe them with the money that you've earned, or you can call in a favour from detectives. So I'll be doing that in a bit. So let's get into it. Squigs has been purchasing liquor. So we've now got some liquor to sell, which is quite nice.
Well done, boss. Well, let's set up our new speakeasy.
Okay, so we're now going to get a speakeasy. There we go. Speakeasy allows me to sell all the stuff that I've already obtained. Okay, we're getting a bit high on stock. So if I hold down the right trigger, you've got the gang in one part. You can sell off the stuff that you have for a really small price. But what's better to do is actually take on jobs. Now, at the moment, no one can actually trade with me, but it'll eventually it'll come up with a bunch of jobs for me to actually, do and actually sell off some of my stock for an elevated price. You get a reputation depending on how laid back you are, whether you can intimidate people to give you money and stuff. We'll get onto that in a bit, because at the moment it's a bit early for that. Now, with regards to the presentation, it's one thing when... Oh, is he going to go straight through the car there? No? No, that time it didn't. But I've seen multiple instances of people running through features, which is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So now we set up this speakeasy.
Boss, our new speakeasy isn't as profitable as I expected. It seems that we have a bit of a competition in this district.
Okay, so apparently there's another speakeasy, which is literally round the corner from us. What you can do is either buy them out, or you can do drive-bys, which will force them to vacate the premises, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to send Squigs to go into the speakeasy and use his muscle. Once again, it's dark and I can't see absolutely anything. I mean, this lighthouse helps, but you don't normally have that. That lighthouse is unique to this map. So whilst that's happening, I'm going to send this guy to do some informants. To the informant, and this guy to the other informant, to allow me to see a bit more of the map.
We made them an offer they couldn't refuse, boss. The rival speakeasy is closed and won't be stealing our customers.
Okay, so we've now got another place that we can rent. So if we go into a hideout, we can now actually upgrade it, which gives us... Oh yeah, this fat guy is essentially like the typical Don that you hear, or typical advisor to the Don that you hear in most, gangster movies. He's just a stereotypical Italian American gangster, and he's now telling me to establish a pizzeria. So what I'm gonna do is rent this place. Look at all the places that I've unlocked. Now, as you can see here, you've got a deputy. And what I might do is I might... Ooh, I don't have much in the way of cash, actually. So Squigs has now rented that joint. And I'm now going to make this a pizzeria. Pizzerias, essentially what they do is they give your operations a front, but it's a front that everyone is suspicious of. So they basically go, ah, well, you've got a front.
I am Brigitte Laval, the best pilot and smuggler this side of the Atlantic.
Theoretically, what I could do is I could fire someone and hire someone else. And for the purposes... Oh, if you press Y, you can also warp to each of your businesses, which is quite nice. So now it's highlighting all this kind of stuff, which is quite nice of the tutorial to do. I'm now going to rent this premises, which I'm going to do in order to set up the soup kitchen, which is something that increases your liked rating. So as you can see, my fear is now going up quite high. I'm now going to raid this thing again. I'm going to raid it this time because that means I get less, but I don't have to pay anything for it. I always tend to raid these places as opposed to actually buy them. Now we'll set up the soup kitchen, and as you can see, we're drastically losing money because we still don't have those trades. Because, well, you'll see why, but
Ciao, ragazzo. My name is Louis Castaneda, and I run this part of Atlantic City. We have some unfinished business.
okay. So in the first mission, in the tutorial mission, or first mission, you had a couple of guys trying to whack you, and they actually kidnapped Squiggs. You had to go and rescue him. We'll see a bit of combat in a sec, but this bit of the tutorial essentially says, hey, you whacked my guys, you owe me. Here's a way to get out of it. I don't know where it's actually telling me to go here. This is one of the minor issues with this game, is sometimes it will give you an objective and doesn't tell you where to actually, you know, complete it.
Ciao, ragazzo. My name is Louis Castaneda.
Blue Hotel with an I above it.
A real boss ain't afraid of grunt work.
Okay, so I've now got too much of everything, so I'm gonna have to sell some beer. If I sell down to 50, it'll get me a tiny bit more money, but not a great deal, which is less than ideal. Here is my Don Boss. As soon as he gets in here, I'll get to show you the second part of this mission, which, oh, he takes forever. He always goes the long way as well. Get on with it. So now he's gone out, but the thing is it already loads up a battle. So you've got small time criminals running beer out of their hotel. You could auto-resolve this if you wanted, which is a time-saving mechanic, but what I'm actually going to do is do the battle anyway. Now, each of your gangsters can level up, and they get different perks, as I mentioned before. So that toughness perk from for Doc, that's something that the other guys could have gotten when they leveled up, but I've actually chosen different things. So I shall show you what we got when this loads.
Time to get a move on.
Now, it's turn-based strategy, so if you're familiar with the likes of, say, XCOM, then this will be familiar. You can move from cover to cover if you want. In fact, it's actually preferable to do that. So you've got MP, which is your movement points, AP, which is your action points. If you start firing, you immediately deplete your movement points. So you have to always remember to move before you attack. I've now moved everything, so pressing the right button will actually skip the turn. This is cover. Normally when they get to cover they lie down, but since there's no enemies discovered yet, there's absolutely no point.
Aye.
I can actually use all 9 movement points to get to cover. And as soon as I move around this corner, he's going to discover 2 gangsters.
Another patient. I'm starting to see double.
Trying to get behind this actual cover. There we go. So you've got 2 mobsters here. If you press the Y button, you get a bunch of attacks. These are unique to the weapons that you have equipped. So you've got Flurry, which allows you to shoot twice at a single target. You can fire once at each enemy. And you can actually fire all enemies in the area, but only for Courage. Courage allows them... I shall actually try and make them panic, if possible. Oh, actually, they've got... One of them's got quite a lot of courage. The other one's got slightly less, but they're both increased compared to their HP, so it's actually more efficient to do this. If you hold down the left trigger, it allows you to aim, which increases your percentage. I'm not quite sure what the point is in not using this, so... Now that's unfortunate. 67% and 50% hit. There's not a heck of a lot of cover here, so I think what I'm going to have to end up doing is actually go on a bit of a suicide run. Can't see into that house, but he can see out, which is really unfortunate. It means that he's pretty much going to cap me. I can see me taking a lot of damage here. In fact, there's a 3rd guy here. In fact, there's a 4th. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Christ. Yeah, I took an absolute pasting there because the game is pretty unfair when it comes to how much health and stuff you have left. Oh Jesus! I think he's got 5 stacks of that, so he's pretty much down, which is really unfortunate. What can I do? Well, this guy is pretty much almost the same as your mob boss, only he has defensive stance instead of the mob boss's ability, which is second wind, which automatically recharges on a kill. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, yeah, let's do a precise shot on this guy. Not sure what that is. I think it was a hiccup.
Too much medicine!
I need a doctor.
So apparently I'm now panicked. Not sure what that means in terms of actual combat, but oh, it's the amount of turns that you're panicked and stuff for. Okay. Oh, I really should have moved. Yeah. Basically, the Don is going to die next turn because both of these pickpockets are going to come in and smack him about a bit. So what I think I should do is end this here. As you can probably tell, I'm not really sure about this game. It looks horrid. It looks really dated. The tactical combat, especially in this battle, I mean, I made it past it, but it was really touch and go. And it's not because it's especially hard, it's because the maps are designed without much in the way of cover. You don't have much of a choice in how you go about them, and that results you in getting beaten up quite a lot. The story itself is a bit lackluster. It's here's a situation, here's another situation, here's yet another situation. Ugh. I suppose in sandbox mode it's okay, because if you had a story in the sandbox mode, then there's absolutely no point in having the campaign mode. So having a campaign mode is nice introduction to the game, but I'm really not convinced by this, and it's a huge shame because I absolutely love the setting. The setting is a wonderful one, and I don't think it's used enough. But if this is all that can come out of it, I don't really have much in the way of hope for this. Anyway, this has been Dave Irwin for One Hit Pixel, having a brief encounter with Omerta, City of Gangsters.